You put your money in the bank, you save for many years, you have a way to retire. Somebody decides to commit fraud. The bank falls for it. They got your money. They take all your money out, the fraud. The bank says you get nothing. Put it up full mass. Chase Bank. Chase Bank customer, this is in Chicago, has now lost her entire life savings after a fraud incident drained her account. But because she did not report it within the required time frame, the bank has refused to reimburse, leaving her penniless. Courtney White, former sergeant with the Markham Police Department, now living in Chicago's Calumet Heights neighborhood, said a decade's worth of savings, it was $87,000. It vanished in an instant. Here's what happened. Quote, I worked my butt off, Ms. White said, according to NBC5. Quote, I was always the overtime queen at work. So all my overtime money went into my savings for my family. I deliberately had my savings account set up where I would have to walk into the bank to make transactions, White said. For years, White made monthly withdrawals to give her son his allowance. Over time, she also used the account to help cover her daughter's college tuition and travel expenses. Over the next 10 years, White says she saved up approximately $87,000. Now, there's an important note here. She set her account up intentionally so that it could not be taken advantage of by anyone else. It required that she walk into the bank. Likely because of her law enforcement background and fraud that she's seen, she had this caution about her own bank account. So in fall of 2022, Ms. White received insufficient funds alert, prompting her to check her account balance for the first time in months. It's a savings account. To her dismay, Ms. White discovered daily withdrawals totaling thousands of dollars and later learned someone had been impersonating her. The withdrawals were made in person at multiple Chase branches. Now remember, she set her account up in such a way where she has to be the individual to get the money herself. Chase, however this happened, decided that somebody else was in fact her. Now, quote, if you look at all the withdrawal slips, she says, you can clearly see the difference in the handwriting. White said, according to the station, she pointed out a stark contrast between how she writes dates on the withdrawal slips and how the person pretending to be her did. Quote, I don't know how Chase could match that, White said. Now, Miss White said, quote, somebody should have recognized that this is an outrageous amount of transactions every day. It should have been some sort of alert, White said. I've never banked like that. And like I said, I've had Chase for 20 years. Ms. White makes a fascinating point that obviously I think many of us would assume would happen for us to alert us. I get alerts when I'm shopping and I utilize my bank card. It may be something that I've never purchased before or an amount that's outside of my spending norm. It sends me a text message. This is to protect you. Did you make this transaction? Yes or no? She never received any of that. White also said Chase could not provide surveillance footage to identify who had made withdrawals under her name because too much time had passed. In a statement, Chase said after reviewing the case, the bank's decision remains final. A closer review of complaints against Chase Bank revealed that more than a dozen customers reported being robbed or scammed while using the ATM. So here's the thing. Obviously, this woman did everything that she could think to do to protect her money. She saved up. It's a lot of money for a working person. It's a lot of money. I would be devastated. You would be devastated. For the bank to not reimburse her the $87,000, which, let's be clear, Chase got it. For them not to do this is quite unconscionable. So the bad press, the bad PR they get from this, obviously they were willing to receive due to the fact that this is their final decision. I do encourage the officer, the former officer, to file civil litigation. That is my opinion and recommendation. File civil litigation so that you can have subpoena rights and then get the records for surveillance. All right, Jackson, thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, other than, to me, this seems like whoever is in charge of that regional area, because, Chase Bank is huge.
Yeah.
So stuff like this goes on, and it's not necessarily something that the person all the way at the top always knows about. Like this thing is massive. So whoever's in charge of this regional area just is kind of like, I don't want to look like I made a mistake like this, or they just have some type of disdain for this woman for whatever reason. Because as you pointed out, Chase got $87,000. I mean, like,
right.
That ain't even a drop in the bucket to Chase Bank, let alone all the access to. I mean, it's a bank. You know what I mean? So, and it's so easy to find out if she was lying about this. All the stops that this person made to take out. Why couldn't she just take it all out if it's her money? This seems like somebody going about stealing it. This is how people do it. They take a little bit out here, a little bit out there to keep certain limits going or whatever it is. There's so many different avenues to, cameras, history. As she pointed out, I've never done anything like this before. Very easy to prove that she didn't do this. So I hope that she can sue or something, because Chase got the money and there's no reason whatsoever to not give it back to her.
Yeah, they're citing an internal policy of reporting time. That's just their company policy, nothing more. That can obviously be overruled by a jury or a court based on the circumstances.